Hello everyone, welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith. I've got a really exciting Kickstarter preview for you today. Now this is not going to be the full thing for Too Many Bones Undertow, which is exactly what we're going to be talking about today. I am really excited for this because this is one of those games that I had when I very first started off with the channel. It wasn't my very first game, but it was one of the first games that I would have dubbed Game of the Year easily. It still is one of my favorite solo games, and the fact that the company Chip Theory Games is expanding upon this world and making it bigger just excites me in every way, shape, and form. So the really cool thing about this is that they were generous enough to send along 5 of the neoprene mats that they have for this particular Kickstarter, which started today. So if you are interested in Too Many Bones, have seen my playthrough, or if you've missed it, regardless, in the top right-hand corner, there's going to be an eye symbol. I'm going to link to not only the Kickstarter that Chip Theory Games is currently running, which started today. I'm also going to link to the playlist so you can watch the gameplay videos to see what the prior original Too Many Bones game is like. Because Undertow is basically going to be its own standalone game, but also be able to incorporate itself within the world of Too Many Bones from the first edition. So that's really exciting. So what we're going to talk about today is the 5 neoprene mats. There are no dice. I don't have any dice for this. It's just simply the mats themselves. But it's going to give us an indication as to what type of skills, how maybe the character plays. It just allows us to see the mats themselves, the art, that kind of thing. So let's start with the very first one, and that is Stanza. So Stanza is the first character, and she is a gear lock. So this is one of 2 gear locks that will come in the Undertow box. One thing I want to clarify majorly is that on the Kickstarter page for Chip Theory Games, I noticed that it shows 1 to 2 players. What they mean by that is you're getting 1 to 2 gear locks in the game, but you can merge in other gear locks, whether they come from expansions or the original game, to be playing with up to 4 gear locks in a session. So don't let that 1 to 2 confuse you. It just simply means you're getting 1 to 2 gear locks, and I'll talk about both of those gear locks in this video. So this one here is Stanza. Obviously, with the musical note, represents the fact that she plays music, whether it's to hurt or hinder or to heal, would be my assumption as to what she does. So looks like she's kind of got like a speaker box or megaphone kind of thing attached to her electric guitar of some type, but also likely pummels out some serious damage. I don't know anything else because I don't have any other dice, so we're going to have to go right off the mat here. Of course, nothing with the active slots and lock slots ever change. Loot doesn't change, and the exhausted dice, so we'll ignore those on all the rest. But the backup plan does actually change and is specific to each character, as there's different potential options for each backup plan usage. So we have Focus, Flute Song, Shrill, Assault, and Self-Soothe for Stanza. Now, Focus, to me, I couldn't try to figure that out on my own. Flute Song could potentially be a healing mechanism, would be my guess. Possibly. Shrill Assault sounds like you're playing your electric guitar so loudly it hurts the enemies, would be my guess. And Self-Soothe sounds like you're just healing yourself. So that's going to be my guesses on what those backup plans do. Moving over to the stat area for Stanza, again, musician, judged by the musical note. I don't know if there's anything else to that or not. We also have some different descriptions of the skills matrix in terms of a legend. This one says Rhapsodist, Lamenter, Allure, and Agitator. And we have a health of 5 as the base stat, dexterity is 3 to start. That's actually a very strong starting gear lock, dexterity-wise even as well, but very much lacking in the attack defense categories. Melee character. The innate ability is Songsmith. Makes it sound like to me that being able to unlock songs is going to be something that's going to become very useful for her as a focus. And of course, once you get to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then to the 6th bone in your backup plan, then you can upgrade to innate +1, and at that point you get access to the Songweaver ability, of which I don't know what that is yet. In terms of art, very cool. It definitely shows off the flair of this particular gear lock. Very cool musical sound coming out of this speaker she's got like literally attached to her hip, which is really cool. So again, very awesome. In terms of the skill matrix, we'll go through these one by one. So we've got, if you're starting off in the red category, and again, one thing I'm not going to tell you is what dice you start with, because I don't have any dice here, and I also don't have the reference sheet. I just have the mat. So rhythm and motion, starting with the star, rhythm and motion, going through to Lutar, which is what their play on words for guitar most likely, then going down to the Siege of Karen, and then up to Only Time Will Tell. That'll cover that path. In terms of the purple path, it goes from Chords of Dissidence to Lutar, and then to Cry of the Wild, and then the Breaking of Daylor. For the Allure, It starts with the Prelude to the Night, or Beautiful Bliss, or Forever Mine, or Under the Old Zelfrey. Now these are all sounding like very much like ballads or songs to me, and they all lead back to the guitar or lutar skill in the center there. And then for the final one, which is like a teal color, it's a bluish teal color, it says the Axe Blade, Charge, Swing are the two, and then going to the Fury Cleave. Very cool. So that's essentially a quick overview of what you can expect on Stanza's player mat. So again, I can't speak to anything else because I don't have anything else component-wise, but I do really want to thank Chip Theory Games for sending these prototypes on to me. Of course, some of these may not be prototypes, this might be final, but we'll see as the campaign goes along. This is the second character that you'll receive in Too Many Bones Undertow, and this character is called Duster. Now, from my recollection, and I should probably know this, but I don't, I can't tell if male or female, so I'm not going to go down that road because I'm not too sure. It could probably go either way there. Really tough to tell. But Duster has essentially a health of 3, a dexterity of 3, an attack of 2, and 1 defense. So basically 2 less than Stanza on the health category, but a little stronger in the attack category to start the game. Then it has its legend here of the different ones. So Assassin, Survivalist, Gadgeteer, and Wolf Sister, I guess is the last one. For innate, it starts off with Shadow Dweller, and then once again, once the backup plan fills up to 6, we can cash into an 8+1 to get a Shadow Caster innate skill. So that's really cool. In terms of the backup plans, we've got Juke, Bypass, Backstab, Fortune Discovery, and Retreat. The character is a melee character, making perfect sense based on the art of this. And I gotta say, the art on this particular one I'm really liking. And I saw pictures of this particular gear lock and was really impressed by it earlier. So then we'll move over here to the skills matrix. So we'll go through these in order. So Baby Blades to Duster's Dagger to Vibro Blade, which sounds very devastatingly cool. Flint and Tinder to Feign Death to Vibroblade is another path to get to the same weapon. Blotted Smoke or Infusion VAMs or Micro EMPs can get you to D cells. And then going to the tealish blue color, you start Promise of Food, and then Carl Snarls Innate. That's an interesting one. You notice there's an innate ability on there. I don't know how often... I'm trying to remember if there's anything like that in the base game or not, but I'm not too familiar off the top of my head. Promise of Food, Wolf Trainer, Servitude, and then Snarts HP. Very interesting. So again, that is the overview for Duster. Now, these are the 2 characters in the Undertow base game box. What also is going to come as well, along with some things which I'm going to have to probably double check on, is this character called Gasket. Now this has not been shown yet. This is really cool. So this character right here, now I shouldn't say hasn't been shown yet. On Facebook, I believe there was kind of some kind of little thing going on there with their social media for Chip Theory Games, and Gasket was unlocked, and we activated Gasket essentially. So Gasket appears to be something or of a unit that we're going to end up being able to use on our travels at some point. Really cool. As you can see, very different, not only in the art style, it takes up way more space, really pops on the mat. I like that a lot. I'll give you guys a close-up of what it looks like. Very, very, very cool. And then, of course, if I go over here to Gasket, more of a gear symbol kind of thing going on over here. Again, it's a machine of some type. Now, I don't know if the gear locks actually get into this machine or if it runs on its own. We have the different legend here of hydro-powered, mode even to be derail, or mode to be destroy, or backup directive. So very cool. We may be able to have some control over it. Health-wise, starts with 1, attack 1, very low, but then crazy high in the dexterity and defense. It's a melee range character, so there's your range. So you're getting your ranged inside of this Gasket character. And then dexterity we already mentioned. So innate is Steambot, and then if again we fill up our backup plan, we have access to Steambot Pro. In terms of the backup plans, Squirt, Fix, Hydro Limiter, there's nothing here, and then Steam Cloud. So those are all the different things you can use your backup plan for. Now we'll go through all the skills matrix areas. So we have, starting off in the red area, we have second canister, which leads to, this one's a little bit tougher to see, tertiary canister, if I'm saying that correctly, or tertiary canister. Primary canister up here, and hydro converter up here, again innate. I think innate's actually pretty common, even though I said earlier I didn't see that very much. I think I'm just, I was just kind of falling apart there in the brain. In terms of the purple one, Blitz goes to Blast or to Jam and then Slam. So again, there's no linkage between Blast and Slam, but you can go either way on that one. Going to yellow, which is down here, we have grab or cut, and cut goes to gut, and then to get, and then to grab, or the vice versa. Going up to the backup directive, which is the tealish blue color, we have command sustain, command utility, command aggro, and then down here a consumable called Sabron Fresh. So very interesting. I'm really excited about this one because I think this is going to add quite a bit. Having a unique other character that's not a gear lock is going to be really interesting. It's more of a machine, obviously, and I just don't know if the gear locks are getting in this thing or if this thing's running on its own. That'll be something I guess we'll find out during the gameplay, or maybe when the rulebook gets released. Now the next thing I'm going to show you is really, really cool. This is going to be the map for Undertow. So this has not been shown at all, even on their site. They might have a picture of it. It may be very small, but it's also going to have something in terms of detail I think you guys are going to really think is cool. So this is the map, guys, for Undertow. Now, you may remember the Too Many Bones original map. Now, there's a couple things that are different here. First off, where that chip counter currently sits, it's, instead of it being in the bottom right, it's up in the top right. The other thing is this whole land is completely different. Obendar is actually up here in the top left-hand corner instead of being down in the bottom left-hand corner like it was before, meaning that if you were to take the previous edition's Too Many Bones adventure map and place it up here, you'd actually have Obendar in the right area space, and then you could leave your map side by side if you wanted to, just thematically for the look of it. But the really cool thing is all the different things going on here. It's just insanity. I'm trying to like just scan it over with my eyes. So basically we've got Obendar up here. It looks like you've got tunnel access out through the city here. The Halloway Forest area is right here with a tyrant right up front. So again, there's going to be some merging between, I think, obviously on this map we're going to be going after tyrants, but it could possibly link into the previous one, and maybe that's why the tyrant happens so fast here, because you come straight to the city and bam, you're at one. But again, you've got other ones that go through the river, so that's what this whole entire Kickstarter is about, is that whole river campaign. So as you can see, many different encounter spots or nodes along the way to encounter different things. Wherever there's a red node is essentially a tyrant lair, so that's where you'd find these chips. The white ones are all encounters, as I mentioned. And then, of course, you've got a tyrant one here that can go, a tyrant that can be over here, you have a tyrant that can be here, and you have a tyrant that can be here. So there's 4 locations for tyrants. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And of course, oh, there's actually a 5th one right here I didn't even see. So 5 different red dots. Very cool. And again, it actually looks like it loops. So it's very interesting. You can come out of here and you could even take the long way. You could go all the way down, kind of go all the way around the outside, come all the way. Like you could, I think you can, the purpose of this, if I'm not mistaken, and I can't speak to it too much, but it's looking like they're trying to draw out the encounters in the campaign in general. And that's going to be really exciting. The other thing that's hugely different about this mat, this neoprene mat from the prior one, is the stitching. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed that off the hop or not, but you'll notice that these regular ones here come with an edge that's just kind of unfinished, which is fine. These things hold up quite well. I have the previous Too Many Bones, and there's no issues there. It's not like they're wearing off. You'd really have to do some serious aggressive picking in order to damage it. But what I think they wanted to do by putting the stitching on is just add that extra layer of quality as well as protection, and even just aesthetically, it looks pleasing to the eyes. So it's really cool. They've gone ahead and stitched it all the way around. So I'll give you a quick look at the stitch job. It's not kind of a joke. They actually went to quite a good quality level with the stitching. It's very consistent, looks nice, and it also matches the mat itself, which is cool. The other thing I heard them talk about today in the live stream was that they apparently are going to be looking at the wheel here in terms of the time counter, or day counter, I should say. And they're actually looking at potentially just widening it just a little bit. Not much, but they may be able to make an adjustment there, because in the prior version of Too Many Bones, it was a little bit more difficult to spin it, whereas most people were saying they'd rather have it sit in there and spin a little bit more freely. Again, you want it to be tight, you want it to be fitted, custom fitted, but at the same time to be easily twisted versus struggling with it. But this looks phenomenal, and the colors are really vibrant. They're coming up on the camera actually just as nicely as they are in front of me, so that's a good thing. So you guys can actually see how nice this really is. But again, very, very nice all the way. The brakes way down here, so this is going to be crazy. The other thing I heard from these guys that I didn't know is that apparently they are going to be now there's probably a couple questions going through your head already. Well, these things are all seamed up on the sides and the stitching's all there. What about the prior version of Too Many Bones? What about that mat? That mat's forever gonna have these edges and it's not gonna match, it's not gonna look the same. Well, guess what? Apparently, from what I've heard, they're gonna be flipping this guy over, and instead of it being a black background, they're actually gonna be putting the prior map of Daylor on the back of this particular map. So in essence, you're gonna have one map to rule them all in terms of both of those games combined. So you're not gonna have to worry about your previous edition not having a stitch around it, so then it looks different. Aesthetically, it seems like they're very focused on keeping things uniform. That's really smart. So that's all I have to say basically about this particular mat. Very nice. The sheen on it looks awesome. The quality of it looks great, feels great, and I can't wait to see what it looks like on the other side when they add to that. Okay, one more to go, guys. One more to go. This one's really cool, and this is where we get into the specifics of Undertow. I don't know which one to show you first, but I'll show you this side first. So here we go. This is the battle mat, and it sure as heck looks a lot different, but a little bit the same as the prior one. So the biggest differences are, as you'll notice again, stitching all the way around. So it's becoming a theme, and the most I'll tell you is it seems to be continuing. So I believe their goal in this is to have all these neoprene mats stitched at some point. We'll leave that for them to determine, but essentially, this one's going to be stitched. It looks incredible. The colors bounce right off. It looks really, really nice, but there's also a few things that are different than the original Too Many Bones. First off, the initiative meter, which is not really a major difference, is on the top instead of being on the side, but there's a reason for that design-wise. And if you're going to notice, there's these circles off to the side that say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So you have your standard normal, 4x4 grid that we're all used to from the previous Too Many Bones, but now you've got these markers off to the sides. Well, what do? Well, apparently they're going to have enemies that are based in water. They're going to be marked with a water icon, and they're going to show up on the sides of your raft during your encounters. And these enemies are going to be damaging and attempting to break apart your raft as you travel through fighting. So not only are you battling enemies on the raft, you're also battling enemies or kicking enemies off your raft, trying to keep them away from breaking and damaging your raft, because I'm assuming you can lose a scenario based on just damage to the raft alone. So that's really, really cool, very thematic, and makes you feel like you've actually got to protect something that was never done in the first campaign. It was all about positioning. It was all about fighting the guys on land. This is going to add a whole new element, a second element of the battle, where you have to keep in your mind the fact that you've got these enemies trying to tear your raft apart. That's just really cool. So that's essentially this. The rest of it, I think the iconography on the actual circles are a little different. You'll notice for melee and range, they've actually combined symbolism inside of some of the circles, so that's different. But again, other than that, everything's pretty much the same in terms of even the lane markers are 1, 2, 3, 4 like normal. Biggest change being these guys on the side and the ability to destroy your raft. Very cool. So again, now when you're actually playing Undertow and you're heading down the river area, you can actually play the raft one, and it actually corresponds with the encounter that you're playing. Very smart design choice. So you're also going to wonder here, if you look back at this particular map here, there's not just rivers through this particular world, there's also land locations. Well, how the heck did they handle that? Well, they flipped this guy over and they threw a land location down so that we can actually have battles on land, similar to what you'd be used to in the prior Too Many Bones version. So again, with this one, you're going to have your 4x4 grid. Everything is the same. Initiative meters up top though, and it is stitched because it's the same mat. But the one thing you're going to notice differently is, for some reason, this I can't explain because I don't know what game elements are going to come out of this, but essentially they've left the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the outsides, meaning I don't know what kind of gameplay they're going to add into this to make use of these side ones, but I'm sure it's going to be cool and thematic. It could be, I don't know, maybe there's some type of creature that can throw things or use vines against your, I don't know, some kind of environmental thing. Whatever it is, I'm sure it's going to be really creative, and it's really cool that they've gone ahead and not just done another simple 4x4 grid like they did in the first one. They're expanding upon their strategies for the battle map. Very, very cool. So that's pretty much it, guys. That is basically the overview of the 5 neoprene mats. I hope this helped you to see these things up close and personal, to just get a little bit more of a glance at how they're made and stuff like this, or not necessarily how they're made, but how they look. And again, to also see the quality of the stitching and the quality of the design and stuff like this. A very, very well-made product. So this is a really exciting one for me. I love the game from the moment that I saw it in the design phases, and since then I've just been on board the whole way through. So I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on the final production copy. I know there's a large majority of you guys that are subscribed to the channel that are also just as excited to see this thing get to your doorstep. Well, let's make it happen. Let's head to their Kickstarter page and support them. They're a great company with amazing customer support. And again, I want to give them a big thank you for providing these 5 mats for me to show off to you guys, because I really do think the community here at Rolling Solo truly appreciates being one of the first people to actually see these mats before anybody else does. And I think that's really, really cool, because we had such an amazing time playing through the game as a group. So anyway, thanks so much to Chip Theory Games and to all of everybody at Rolling Solo for watching. Appreciate all of you guys. I will see you in another episode. As always, keep on rolling solo.